what's up? We are back in the CEO Pulse podcast where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. I'm telling you, man, I'm loving the Mindset Monday thing we have going on. We're getting a lot of really good feedback on the stuff that we're putting out there. They all are raving about my sound effects, which is really, really cool.
Why wouldn't they?
And today, I think we have another great episode for you guys. It's another topic more than an episode, really. And it's who do you think you are? The question: who do you think you are? All right. So with that, I'm going to open it up with my co-host, Justin Thorstad. Always a pleasure to have you on, man.
Likewise, brother.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Where's the sound effects?
Yeah. Chicka bow, chicka wow wow.
There you go.
Justin Thorstad. Da da da.
That was good, man. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Carry on. So with that being said, who do you think you are? Where is this coming from? Where is this coming? Break it down.
Really, the question, who do you think you are, comes down to it. Who do you say that you are?
Yeah.
Like, what do you identify as? You know, most people say, well, I'm a man, I'm 40 years old, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur. And it's like, those are things that you do. Those are just labels. That's not who you are.
Right.
And so it poses the question, just ask yourself, who do you think you are? Like, what does that mean to you? So most people, I can identify with that saying, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're your mind? Or is the mind something you have? Are you your body? Or is your body something you have? Are you your emotions? Or are those something you have? And really, ask yourself the question, who sees when you see? Who hears when you hear? Who feels when you feel? Who is that inside?
Yeah. It's a lot. The question is a lot deeper than what it sounds like, right out of the gate. And it's a very important question. I think oftentimes we don't ask ourselves who am I really? Am I the for example, in our world, am I the real estate investor? Is this defining me as a human being, or is there something deeper, right? It's a rhetorical question. There's always something deeper. There's always something that really connects you to the essential you, and I think that can be harder it's harder said than done to come in and then figure out who that person is, right? But in my experience, until you figure out who you really are, you can't align your values, you can't align your principles, you can't align your purpose, your path, and the stuff that really makes us, right? Until we figure out who we really are, we're just kind of coasting on this road that may not necessarily be ours. I mean, I know I was lost for the first 30 years of my life, trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, me too.
But I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my my essence was.
Sure. Yeah, and it is kind of a deep topic, yet it's super simple.
Yeah.
And, it's not so cerebral as people think, right? And so it's just coming to the understanding of who you are, because you're right. Everything's going to be systemic from there.
Yeah.
Everything sprouts from there. And what I noticed for myself, from even into my early 30s, before coming to this realization, this understanding of who I am, everything was kind of a house of cards, if you will. Because, then you say, okay, I'm this. And now you have this label that you place on yourself, and it's an identity. But it's like, wait a minute, I'm not that person anymore. Now I'm this over here. So, who am I? It's just also this inner confusion and conflict. And so really landing on the simple understanding that I'm me. I'm the one in there. Yeah. I'm the witness. I'm noticing my mind and its thoughts. I'm noticing when I still my mind. I'm noticing when my mind is in high beta brainwaves and it's incoherent and I'm stressed and panicked or whatever the case is. Yeah. And noticing the corresponding emotions that come along with those thoughts. Like the mind and body are interconnected, but I'm the one witnessing it.
Yeah.
Right? So
you're in the driver's seat at that point.
Only at that point, right? Because outside of that, then we can get lost in the mind. And so it's really just a case of subject-object, right? So I'm one in there. I'm the witness. I'm observing all of this. So I'm the subject. Everything else is an object of my consciousness.
Right.
That I get to witness, that I get to experience, that I get to enjoy, and be in a place of acceptance. And it's really a beautiful state of surrender. Not surrender as in give up or defeat. Surrender is in simple acceptance of what is.
Well, surrender to the I am, right? Some people out there will understand the reference, but the I am, everything begins with the I am. I am, and then you can fill in the blank, right? For what's after that. But I think Confucius had it best, right? Whether I think I am, I'm right, where I think I'm not, I'm right, and something like that. I mean, I butchered the whole thing, but the context is the same, right? So we have the ability to really just adopt the essence of who we are at the core. Now, asking ourselves, like bringing it back to just simple terms, is asking yourself the question of who am I? Who am I is going to give you guidance. Who am I? Am I empowered? Am I independent? Am I it's going to help you discover traits that can help you lay the path for wherever you want to go.
Totally. So this is so foundational when people can really understand this. I know it was for me. It was massive in my transformation, because when I came to the realization through reading and study and so forth, to have the awareness that I'm just the one in there.
Yeah.
I can direct my mind. It's an appliance. It's like a tool. It's something you use, right? I can quiet it. I can stress myself by allowing my consciousness to be drawn into the object of my reality, whatever that may be, a person, a place, a situation, a thing. And so when I can realize that I'm the one in there witnessing all of this, I mean, right now, even for the audience, inside your head, without verbalizing anything, say hello to yourself.
Yeah.
Now say goodbye. Wave to yourself inside your mind. Who's doing that? How is that happening?
The crazy thing is that everybody out there who just did that, who practiced that exercise, didn't just they saw themselves in that picture. So they got an outside. I mean, it's like looking at you from a camera. When you start doing that, and I don't know, it brings clarity to the essence of who you are, I think.
Absolutely. So the mind is just a meaning-making machine, right? And so with that being said, when you can realize, and by the way, have a practice to separate yourself from your mind, we'll talk about that in a moment, you can really just start to understand that you can direct the mind and utilize it as a tool. Therefore, not getting lost in the thoughts and the corresponding emotions that come along with this. And so when you can realize that you're just the one in there witnessing all of this, that is consciousness. And you can direct that consciousness to anywhere you want. Well, then the question becomes, well, then where do I want to direct my consciousness?
Yeah.
Because that consciousness is energy. And energy flows where attention goes. Wherever you place your attention, that's where you invest your energy. And so then you get to just decide, okay, then, this was very systemic for me as a young child. It's like, what's the point of life? I mean, really, seriously, what's the point? Why are we here? What are we doing? Why are we doing that? And that really threw me through a loop and down to some dark places.
It's a deep question, bro. I mean, I think it's a question that can break you, right? We're going through this, all this hustle stages and the highs and the lows, and then you get to a point where you ask yourself, like, what the fuck is the point of all this? Like,
what's the point?
It's exactly where am I headed? I mean, is there a bigger purpose? Is there a bigger thing? Is there, there's a lot of things that go hand in hand, right, with the question of who you really are. With the clarity of who you really are. But again, if you ask yourself that, and then you bring yourself that to a foundation, and you really uphold that, you start understanding what your truth is. Meaning, we have a friend in common who's the one of the things that we always just kind of mock him for is like, this honors me, this does not honor me. And I don't want to say his name because Jason's gonna get pissed off at us. But
we love you, Bonfanti.
But it's the first and last. You can Google him.
We won't say his name, but Jason Bonfanti.
Jason Bonfanti. But it's so true though. Like, we do. We get a kick out of it, right? But it's so true. When you figure out what honors you as an individual, it's easy to say no to certain things and then yes to certain things. It's
totally.
It's just I think it's the foundation of everything that we build on.
It is. It's a point of reference that everything stems from there, right? And so I think everyone's determination on what's the point of life, why are we here, and so on and so forth is highly subjective and individualized. Yeah. However, just to share as an example, what I've landed on is, I believe the point of life is to experience life. I mean, we're having a human experience. Yeah. We're human beings. We're just here to be. And so why not have fun of the process? Because why so serious? I mean, seriously, why so fucking serious about anything? The only thing is reality is unfolding, and it has been for, 13.8 billion years. And so there's a sequence of events that had to have happened from the beginning to this very moment in time. Yeah. And if you look through your eyes, you're only seeing one moment in time. Okay, great. And so
this is where I'm at. It's easy to get caught up in that moment too.
Totally. Hey, and so what you got to realize is that's just a moment in time that's unfolding. And whatever's happening on the inside is my relationship to it.
Yeah.
And so whether I get upset and pissed off, frustrated, you're driving on the freeway and somebody pulls in front of you and they're doing 65 when you're doing 80 and you got to slow down. And, you start saying some choice words and, using some sign language, something of that nature. And it's like, were you really upset at that moment? Or is there something inside of you that's just upset? Right?
Yeah.
So and that just living in a state of stress, thinking with a mind of my reality needs to be a certain way so that I'm okay.
Here's I'm gonna paint a picture when it comes to that example, right? It's reactions are often just a reflection of where we're at.
Absolutely.
And for example, I'll be driving down the freeway. Somebody cuts me off. It depends on where I'm at here.
Yeah.
On how pissed off I get.
Right.
If I don't have any, I'm usually, and this is totally a bad habit of mine, but I'm usually rushing to get places.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually rushing to get places. I'm a few minutes behind, and then everything is triggering me, right? Everything is triggering me. Somebody cuts me off and delays me by 2 minutes on the GPS, and I start just I go apeshit on.
Well, this is
in my head. I mean, I'm not aggressive
Absolutely.
out there, but
so did you know I'm psychic?
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I know that everyone watching here, you use your mind for one of two things. One, thinking about how do I get what I want?
Yeah.
And number two, how do I avoid what I don't want? So, for example, you're using that
He's not really psychic.
no, I'm not. Okay, so you use that example of you're in a hurry to get somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the thought? I don't have enough time. And what's the feeling?
Yeah.
Fear, anxiety, stress,
Exactly.
right? And then what happens?
Frustration, I mean,
Frustration.
for the most part,
So
yeah.
what happens? Someone cuts you off. You hit red light after red light after red light.
Yeah, it's easy to get triggered.
Here's what I want you to see. And people watching this, listening to this, hearing this, pay attention. The thought and feeling is there's not enough time.
Yeah.
And what starts happening in your reality? It starts to bend and mold to fit that.
Yeah.
Because now you really don't have enough time. Red light after red light. And there's an accident in front of you. There's a delay. You keep getting delayed. You keep getting not enough time.
It's
Do
like
you see that? If you catch that, it's so profound.
It is, and it's all energy, right? When we break it down to the core element, it's all energy. Our emotions have energy. The vibes have energy. So if we're in a space where we're just attracting bad vibes, if you wake up in the morning, you hit your toe, and you start cussing. Right, and something is going to happen 15 minutes down the road. It's going to be just adding on top of that.
Keep snowballing.
Yeah, adding on. Yes, exactly. So next thing you know is, you're having a real shitty day because you hit your toe in the morning.
Totally.
Don't ask me how that works. I just know that's how it works.
Well, I'll tell you how it works.
I knew it. Well, I knew it.
This is exactly how it works. I said it earlier. Energy flows where attention goes,
yeah.
right? So let me give you an example. Okay, so you're running late. You keep getting more and more deterrents to get you where you want to go on time, right? So you're in resistance to what is, and you're coming from lack and scarcity. And now your whole state of being, how you're thinking, how you're feeling, your energy, the signature of your energetic frequency is lack, separation, stress, anxiety. And lo and behold, because that's where you're placing your attention and energy, wherever you place your attention is where you invest your energy. And where you invest your energy, that thing, the object of your consciousness, will begin to grow, expand, and multiply.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. And everybody watching this, everybody listening knows.
Again, if you
when
think you
you're
are, you're
stressed,
right. If you think you're not, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're stressed, you have hundreds, if you sat down to think about it, of examples and evidence of where this is true.
Yeah.
And that's really beautiful. Because if you can document that, you'd have to agree then the law of polarity exists.
Yeah.
And that means the opposite's true. If I were to take some conscious moments every single morning, to have a practice to remind myself I'm not my mind, I'm not my body, I'm the one witnessing it. I can calm the mind, I can direct it to where I want it to go.
That's where meditation comes in.
Meditation, I can calm my state, and then I can open up my imagination, and I can start to connect to the energy of the future experiences that is happening now.
Yeah.
I can get myself in a state of joy, love, peace, abundance, and what might happen in my reality throughout the day coming from that state. If I loved myself enough to carve out a little time first thing in the morning to prime my state and make that the object of my consciousness.
I want to put something out there too, man. It's not figuring out who you are. it's not an afternoon exercise. It's not. It's not like, all right, I don't know. I'll do that on Tuesday at 6, and then by 7 I know who I am. It doesn't work that way, right? I wish it was. It would be a lot faster.
Totally.
A lot less mistakes, a lot less headaches, a lot less turbulence. But it's a process, right? We're evolving beings. We're dynamic. At a psychological level, at a physical level, there's just so much change going on, and everything around us is it's temporary. It's circumstantial, right? It's temporary. Things are moving. So there's going to be different things, different things that trigger us. As these things happen, when we're venturing out of the regular comfort zone, let's say that we get disconnected from the matrix, right? If you want to, I don't know, get a reference, which shouldn't mean to see the exact same thing. But when that happens, it takes a while to get adjusted. I mean, there's so much self-questioning that goes on. Whether, am I crazy for thinking this way? Am I stupid for letting go of something that's quote unquote, safe? Am I, just being irrational for aiming high? Like, who am I to think this big? Who am I to have these aspirations?
Well, I think the most important question
to believe that I can make an impact?
Who do you think that you aren't?
Yeah, exactly.
In order to have those things, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing about the mind is we since we were little children, from part of it genetic, part of it that was impressed upon us, through our primary caretakers, whether it was mom, dad, aunt, uncle, nanny, whatever it was, we take on some of their personalities because we're modeling, we're watching their behaviors and their reactions and their responses to everything. And so we have created, since a small age, this story of who we think we are, this bundle of beliefs. And so you have your BS, your belief systems, and your self-image. And that self-image is like a servo mechanism. It's like a thermostat. You set it to a certain degree, and if it tracks information that if there's any deviation from that, the system kicks it back on track and brings it into order. Well, that's how your self-image works too. It's these stories of who we think we're not to shoot for something bigger and better. So going back to consciousness and realizing that I'm the one in there witnessing all of this. Great. So what's the point of life? Well, in my opinion, it's to have fun and experience this life. Great. So I also believe that this is just a value that I have, a principle of leave things better than you found it, right? Yeah. Okay, so newsflash, everybody. I have some news to break to everyone, to all of our listeners and our audience. You are going to die. Did you know that? I know. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're going to die. Yes? And so when you leave this place, you leave this body, how are you going to leave the collective? Yeah. When you were here, how did you serve humanity? How did you leave it better than you found it?
Yeah. There's a quote, man, and I don't know, I've said it maybe 50 times throughout the videos and recordings and my content and everything, but it's really almost like a rule for living life for me, and that's I refuse to walk carefully through life only to arrive safely at my death. It's about living. It's about joy. It's about leaving it all out there, right? It's about figuring out who you are, making the mistakes, and then coming back and then reassessing, realigning, and then creating and making an impact. And I don't know, leaving a better place when we're gone than the way that we found it. Think about it this way, right? Unfortunately, most people out there are in this selfish cloud. Okay, well, how do I get? What do I get? I mean, the typical question whenever you're working on any deal, for example, like what's in it for me, right? And it's normal. It comes from that self-survival instinct, right? But what if we switch that and we start thinking, okay, how can I contribute? How can I, put more out there and be a byproduct of all that good that's going out there? Imagine
how do you operate from the law of compensation?
Imagine how the collective would result.
Absolutely. So with that being said, and coming from that perspective, right, the law of compensation can come into play. Yeah. So the law of compensation states you earn compensation. I didn't say money. It's a compensation that can come in many different forms. You earn compensation in direct ratio to the value you provide humanity. Yeah. So again, talking about who do you think you are, meaning not like from a put-down standpoint, but a serious question. Who is it that you say that you are? Is it the identities and labels that you've been putting onto yourself throughout so far your history in life? Or can you come to the realization that you're just the one that are witnessing your mind, your body, your reality? Those are three things that you have. And so from that state and coming from your truths of, okay, I'm going to leave this plane someday, and I choose to leave it better than I found it. And so if that's the case, like, what's your mission in life? What's your purpose? And from that mission, from that purpose, using your imagination to create a vision of what you want your life to be. And what kind of businesses do you run and operate? And so I came to this awareness because, oh gosh, back 2014, man, I was earning a ton of money, super successful. But I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm so sick and tired of having to go to work to earn money. Like there was just no fulfillment in it. And I felt stuck and trapped because, well, if I don't do this, what the hell am I going to do? Yeah. I have no other skill set. I'm not a good student. I'm not going to school. I'm an excellent student studying things that I care about, that are interesting and fascinating and stimulating.
Yeah, your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just began to think about, okay, how do I want to create my life in such a way that every single morning I jump out of bed excited to be alive, excited to contribute, excited to just go experience and have fun. Yeah. And so that's where I created my mission in life, my purpose, like why I'm here. And that's to create large organizations that empower others to experience and live a life of liberty. Yeah.
And isn't it amazing once you have a beacon to wake up every morning just fired up? And don't get me wrong, like there's days and sometimes weeks where like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm spent, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Like everybody gets that way, right? It doesn't mean that you can't bounce from that kind of stuff. It's having the awareness of, okay, cool, I need some rest. But at the end of the day, like you have something to aim at. And you're gonna wake up fired up, you know, like 90% of the year, which is, I mean, if you ask me, it's amazing, man.
Absolutely.
It's like you wake up with the excitement of having the possibilities and how am I gonna change the world today? Just because that's how you're lined up, right? And the question or the clarity of or more, I should say, the awareness of who you are, it's there. I want to bring it back to a couple of just steps. These are 5 things that you can do to clarify who you think you are.
Like, oh wow, you got 5 steps for us. Like I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Well, I mean, you can talk about, like, you break down the quantum physics. I got my like step 1, step 2, like
yeah. Well, and that's what's so cool about it. It's symbiotic, right?
Yeah.
It's like here's the concept, the spiritual end of it, and then the pragmatic, like step by step process to walk people through it. So I think it's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is. And step number 1. This is gonna be probably the hardest thing you're gonna have to do in your life, your entire life. It's not gonna be easy, and it definitely pays off. But it's to clear out your preconditioning, your preconceived notions of your history. You got to clear out any of that stuff, anything that's impact or influencing your thought process, your limitations, more importantly, right? You have to clear that out and give it an opportunity to just fade away. For example, right? I am not. You have this big one, and I'll put you on the spot here. But you have this big one, and I've known it for years. You've known because you've talked about it with me for years, and it's I'm not a good student. I'm not
smart enough.
I'm not smart enough.
Yeah,
that thing.
Yeah,
it's a preconceived notion. When you push that aside years back, I mean that's when you really flourished as an individual, right? But it's one of the hardest things to do. Okay, cool. I mean, I've been learning this thing. Or these ideas throughout my life that we almost adopt them as if, without any, we don't challenge them. We just take them, right?
Because as a child, that was imposed.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not smart.
So you do have the power, you have the ability, you have the liberty, more importantly, to do away with that kind of stuff. If it's not something that's fulfilling you, if it's not something, an idea that's building you up, you have the ability to just set it aside. Yeah. Okay. So number 1 is clear out your preconceived notions and preconditioning.
Yeah, and I want to give the audience kind of some more context around that. Yeah. So again, when I talked about my life's mission, my purpose was to create large organizations that empower others to live and experience a life of liberty. Yeah. What I mean by liberty is not just the external reality of time and money. Yes, that too. However, it's the liberation from the self-imposed limitations. Yeah. And so for what you're saying is like clear all that stuff out. And it comes from the understanding of, like you said, one of my deep-rooted limitations is I'm not smart enough scholastically. So, okay, I want to get rid of that. Yeah, but it feels so true. Yeah. Because I've been rehearsing it and practicing it for decades, right? Yeah. Okay, so then who am I?
You've been validating it for decades.
Totally, reinforcing it, right? Okay, so then who am I if I don't want to be this anymore? Like there can be no void. So if you clear that out, you gotta put something else in its place. So who am I? I am resourceful. I am an excellent student at things that I care about, right? So if I'm resourceful, I got no quit in my game, and I'm an excellent student at things that stimulate me, what can stop me? Me.
Yeah, exactly.
Only me.
Absolutely. Number two, open up your imagination. Right? We all have the right to dream. We all have the right to expand on the life that we currently have. I mean, it's so cool. For example, getting into different circles, right? I love being the dumbest guy in the room. It just, I mean, it breaks my thought process every single time. Whenever, I mean, I'll pay and I'll look for rooms to be just sitting down and be the dumbest guy in the room.
Amen.
But it helps you open up, or it helps me open up my imagination. It's like, wow, I mean, my perspective is different. My just looking at things from a different angle just helps me just, stimulate that creative thought process. If we don't imagine things, I mean, think about it. This microphone, right? I mean, they're pretty solid microphone. They're really good. It was an idea. It was, it was part of somebody imagined this thing before it actually became tangible.
Show me one thing in our known universe that wasn't created twice.
Exactly.
First, imagination. If you can hold it there long enough, you'll hold it in your hand.
Take the time to imagine, okay? Imagine which takes me to three, which is a dream. Imagine what your ideal life would look like. Dream about that. What is that? I mean, what is that? In my case, I mean, you have yours, right? In my case, it's empowering entrepreneurship, which I think overlaps a lot with what you're doing. But I mean, that allows me to dream, right? How can I do that? How can I do that at a bigger scale? If I'm gonna be the person that wants to perform in that space, I have to grow as an individual, right? So whoever I think I am has to match that dream.
And how do you get that? How do you get to that state?
It's a beautiful vehicle.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful. I mean, dreaming is a beautiful vehicle.
I love what you're saying, Raf, because I think what I really want people to understand.
Smart,
yeah. What?
Yeah. I'm pretty smart, yeah.
You are. What I really want people to understand is that if you open up your imagination and you allow yourself to dream big, and you can connect to that experience, and not just once, but you actually rehearse these things mentally, physically, rehearse and connect to the energy of that future experience and sit and marinate in that state. Yeah. You are firing new neurons in new ways. And neurons that fire together, wire together. You start actually taking on the personality, the ways of thinking and feeling of that future self as if it's happening now. That's how you'll get there. But most people want to wait until they get there, until they feel those feelings. That's why it'll never happen.
Yeah. The be do have, type of mentality, right? Dreaming really, I mean, you create a reality within yourself before it's out there, right? And that can be a little bit harder to consume than when it's actually something that you can see. But it really, it's the foundation, it's the beginning of that path. Now, once you start walking in a certain direction, like you're either gonna get there or you're gonna die on the way, right? One of the two. But there's no other outcome. Like that's the direction I'm headed. If you stay on that direction, eventually you're gonna get to that point. There's gonna be a time travel issue here, but it's really important to understand that once you're walking in a specific direction for whatever your dreams are, like there's no other outcome. It's happening.
Listen, if people are not using their imagination to dream big and create a vision of who they desire to be and what they want their life to be about, and they start defining themselves by that vision, that would mean then you're left with memories of the past. Yeah. And if you're operating from memories of the past, you're operating from what's known and familiar, and therefore you're going to be predictable in your future.
Classical conditioning.
So what the hell else you doing that's a better use of your time than to practice defining yourself by a vision of your future?
That's a lot more important than figuring out what the next spreadsheet looks like. So it's I mean, it's crazy because I used to put these things aside. This, like, for example, this exercises aside or these practices because I had an email to respond to, because I had phone calls to make, because I had, you name it, right? The tangibles, the doingness of right now. But in reality, if you take some time to figure this out and actually adopt it, that's going to go a lot further than anything else in your life. Take the time to imagine. Take the time to dream. Take the time to get over any past conditioning that you have in your life and clean the slate so you can move forward, move bigger, and whatever that looks like in terms of impact, in terms of the ideal life. Now you have a way to get there, right? Now it doesn't have to be clear. Again, this is not going to happen over one afternoon. It's not going to happen.
It's a practice.
It's a practice. You come back to it. We're dynamic beings. We're always evolving, and it takes action, which is step number 4. You're going to come in and you're going to have to take action. You don't have to have this absolutely laid out plan of, okay, this is the person that I think I am, so I'm gonna do this, and like that shit's gonna change because again, we're evolving beings, right? But take action. Start, putting yourself out of the comfort zone intentionally. Start working on yourself. Start, reading books that call your attention. Start finding ways of shifting your perspective and stuff that kind of, challenges you. Every time we're challenged and we overcome that challenge, our comfort zone grows a little bigger, a little bigger. Next thing you know, you're in this big ass, comfort zone area when everybody else's is here. So everything looks normal to you, but that's because you have a different perspective on things now.
Totally. Well, and the life of your dreams exists outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's why you're just not there yet. Right.
Yeah.
So using that
100%.
as a protocol, if you will, as a model of how do I expand myself.
Yeah. Figure out is a wrong term. Dream about what the ideal life would be like.
Well, and
right?
again, energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah.
So if you're not dreaming big, if you're not taking action on expanding yourself and stepping into the unknown, which is the opposite of the familiar and predictable, that's why, again, about that energy flows where attention goes. That's why, like, most people are just stuck in this rut.
Yeah.
Because the saying goes, what you resist persists.
Yeah.
So the more you are in resistance to your reality, the more you're paying attention to it, the more you feed it, the more of that you experience. Like, you're doing it. You're the one creating this toxic loop. So I love what you're saying.
And then number 5, you clarify the process. You don't clarify the process at the beginning before taking action because everything is theoretical. Shit's going to change. But as you're going through it, you clarify the process and it takes a while for the pieces to start coming together, right? And kind of, take that validation on the positive side of who you are as opposed to getting automatic validation of who you're not. Because bad validation, we get that every day. We any preconceived notions, classical conditioning, the stuff that we can't do and all that stuff, it's automatic. Like every day we find, things to support that, that state of thought, right?
Yeah.
But as you start taking action, new opportunities come along, new levels of, it's kind of like, if you're playing video games, right? You just hit the next level every single time and you're winning through challenges and whatnot. Even in adversity, when we call, failure, kicks in, and there's going to be something bigger on that, on the other side of that. You walked away with the lesson, right? So you're growing, that comfort zone is growing with you. Anyways, you're evolving. Once you have enough stuff that you've worked on, enough actions that are stacked together, then you start clarifying the process. Okay, cool. This was the dream that I had, and now I can get more pragmatic and laying down the purpose. That's when it really comes in, where you figure out the things that are gonna wake you up, fired up in the morning. But it doesn't happen right out of the gate. For example, in my business, right, it's I've been talking about the Pulse group and for years, and everybody, including you here, saying like, we don't see how it all connects. We don't see how it all. It was just me taking action and then throwing spaghetti on the wall. Finally, it all just kind of the pieces kind of started attaching together, and then boom, we have this thing. But this thing is a vehicle now for my true self, right?
Totally. Well, and what's so beautiful about even just your journey, your path, as an example of that, right? Because 5 years ago, we're talking about Raf, like you got all these fucking businesses all over the place, and it seems so scattered and chaotic, and like, where's the attention focus, and how does this all work together instead of being scattered? And you're like, no, I know what I'm doing, guys. I'll figure it out. It's going to come together. It's going to come together. We're like, okay, and I trusted that you would. I did. I'm still going to flick you shit because I got to give you shit somehow about something,
Absolutely.
right? Okay. So, but the thing about who are you and your 5-step process here is like, if you can use that imagination, you can dream big, and your mission, your purpose in life, how you're going to have fun, what's fulfilling, and how you're going to contribute to humanity for law of compensation to come into effect, and it just feels good. You have a clear intention. Yeah. And you may not know the mechanism, but the saying goes, when the intention's clear, the mechanism will appear, the how will unfold. Yeah. And so, you keep throwing things against the wall, having fun, just living, experiencing life.
That clarity comes in at a later stage.
It does. Yeah. And you've got to trust the process because you can't connect the dots looking forward. It's only in hindsight can you connect the dots looking back, right? So there's also this level of faith in the sense of a trust in the process and allow things to unfold, allow it to flow instead of using the mind, go, no, it should happen this way. And then this should happen. And there's like, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah, exactly. So moral of the story, take time to think who you think you are, because if you think you are, you're right. If you think you're not, you're also right. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com. Thorstad's THORSTAD. Obviously, my cell phone number, you can shoot me a text, you can give me a call, 602-348-8534.
You know you're going to have to change that number at some point, right? This
Dude,
thing's
I've had
going to
that number for
blow up.
years.
It's going to blow up. You're going to have like everybody and their mom just hitting you up for like...
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my Success by Design 2-day workshop coming up for entrepreneurs.
Ooh.
Deep dive into creating your mission, your vision, practical things. I don't care what line of business you're in. If you earn your money by you only get to eat what you kill, you're an entrepreneur, you're in sales, this is a 2-day workshop you don't want to miss. And you can find details out on JustinThorstad.com.
JustinThorstad.com. Definitely check it out. Justin, any closing thoughts?
You know, what I really want to leave people with is I do believe you are more capable than you can comprehend. And you have no idea what you are capable of, what you can create, how you can contribute, and just how fucking beautiful and amazing we all are.
Fire. Ditto. So there you guys have it, family. Another episode of Mindset Mondays. Hope you enjoyed it. Do us a favor. Make sure that you like the channel, you subscribe, and you share it. Drop a comment below. Let us know. Let's have a conversation. This is a two-way street, okay? If there's certain topics that you want us to break down, I mean, we would love tapping into your guys' conversations as well. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.